All right, I'm going to see if I can finish this Stratovarius ranking. It's me, Patrick Ash, writer, author, millennial, blah, blah, blah. Also power metal fan in general, and I want to rank my favorite power metal band and all their albums. So this is part 2. I'm terrible at editing. I don't know if I'm going to put this together with the first one or separate videos. I don't know. We'll see. You'll know based on looking at this. Okay, so now we're going to do the top 5 of Stratovarius. Already covered the number 6 through 15 in the previous one, so now we're doing the top 5. And let's go with Polaris. Yes, least you think that I've got something against the Marius era, the more modern era of the band, because of how I feel about Nemesis and Eternal. I've covered Elysium, which is overall pretty good, pretty strong. But my favorite of all that really is Polaris. Like, this is a fantastic album. Deep Unknown, that's a Stratovarius classic right there. I even like some of the Falling Star, King of Nothing. Blind is a good song. Winter Skies, of course. That's kind of become a bit of a modern classic. Forever Is Today. That's kind of a sleeper. Like, I really like that one. It's got a really, really strong power metal feel to it. It's got a good message too. Honestly, it's one of those few times where like it feels self-helpy in a good way, an effective way. How We Go is pretty good. Somehow Precious, the Emancipation Suite, I think is nice. And When Mountains Fall is it's kind of an interesting way to close out the album, but it's good. It's just overall pretty strong throughout. This is the album, I'll say, that got me back into the band, because like I had mentioned earlier that I first started listening to them in 2002, and then they had a rather public, messy breakup, I guess, with Tolkien, and they sort of got back together before they didn't, and that was like 2004, I think 2005. And so I kind of them out. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and then when I heard they got a new guitarist, new album, I was like, oh, well, we'll see. I'm not sure that they'll be able to regain their previous glory or whatever. And then, so I actually didn't even hear this when it came out in 2009, and then in 2010 when I picked it up. For one thing, I think the album cover is awesome. I think it might be their best. It's just, yeah, that's awesome. Usually so many power metal albums are, just, they're going for cool and epic or whatever, and just kind of look silly. But yeah, I think that's a pretty kick-ass imagery. All right, so do love the studio album, but also have to mention, if you get this, I recommend you get this version. Get the one with the live album on it. Talked about the live albums earlier. I do think that Under a Flaming Winter Skies is the best, and especially starting off with that awesome song from Elysium, the Under Flaming Skies is very awesome. Like, that should have been the intro for that album. But anyway, this live album is incredible. It's probably their second best underneath Under Flaming Winter Skies. So yeah, I definitely recommend getting this version. I really, really enjoy that live album. So yeah. All right. Moving on to number 4. Fittingly, it is Fourth Dimension, one of their earlier albums. And this is, in some ways, the album that got me into them, because Twilight Symphony is the first song I ever heard. And that is a song that I, when people say things like, power metal is just cheesy and sappy and happy and all that crap, I'm like, yeah, listen to Twilight Symphony. I only wish to die. There is no reason why anymore. Not exactly, chill and easy-going and fun. But yeah, I mean, like Against the Wind, classic, great song live. Distant Skies, another great one that we hear on the Visions of Europe. And so, and of course, obviously, I love Twilight Symphony and some of the other albums. Toward the end, We Hold the Key, Call the Wilderness. Like, well, that's got like outro, but yeah, it's just kind of like with Polaris. It's like it's consistently strong throughout. It's a really good listen, and so I can't quite call it their best, but it's certainly up there. It's a classic album. They would not be the same band without it. Put it that way. Galaxies, another good song. Yeah, just all sorts of really, really good stuff on Fourth Dimension. So now we get into the top three. And I gotta say with these next two, I'm gonna put them up at the same time because I am very divided about these two albums and which do I like more. It kind of kind of like depending on the day, it can really go either way. You can probably deduce what my number one album is. Again, not controversial, unlike other entries on the list. But these two albums, they're virtually tied for me. I guess if I had to pick, I guess I would on the number three. I would say Destiny, and obviously I have this really super pretty what is it, reissue I think they remastered it, but yeah, Destiny, fantastic album. If you want, unlike I would say Elysium, title tracks that are going for epic, but not as strong in my opinion, versus this album, versus Destiny, one of their best songs. Freaking love that song. Actually, right, this is sort of a side note, but the theme of the song Destiny, maybe the album as a whole, but for certain the song, reminds me a lot of Matrix Revolutions. And that's a series I often defend, and especially the sequels. There's another unpopular opinion, but it just I listened to this album a lot when those sequels came out, and it just, I don't know, seemed to fit. But also SOS, great song. No Turning Back, great song. Some people have criticized, I think, the ballads aren't quite as good on this album. The 4,000 Rainy, it's all right. And I actually like Venus in the Morning. I think that's a pretty good ballad. Rebel, good song. When you talk about like kind of emotionally engaging Stratovarius, I think like even when they're rocking, even like it's still, you listen to it, it really is like a speaking to you personally, and trying to like keep you moving and pushing through all the vulgarities of life. So the one song on this album that I'm not crazy about is Years Go By. It's a mad song. It's not, I think that's like the obvious weak link for me on the album. It kind of feels like a filler track. But Playing with Fire is really good. It's one of the songs like the imagery, you can feel it in the music. And like, again, Venus in the Morning is awesome. Anthem of the World, really good song. I think some other people like it more than I do. Like it's a good song. Definitely feels like classic epic Stratovarius. As I said in the other part with Intermission, I'm not sure if you want to give the credit there or on this, because I think it's the original version I had of Destiny had it as like the last song, even though it was a bonus track. But Cold Winter Nights, holy crap. I already talked about how much that's an awesome song, but like it's definite top 10, maybe top 5 Stratovarius for me. That is just an awesome track. Even some like the ones on this version with Dream With Me and Blackout are pretty good. And also I think this version has another live. They really do shine live, so this is why they have so many live albums and kind of like recordings they put on. So yeah, Destiny solidly at number 3. Again, depending on the day, like I even call it number 2. So on this particular day, I'm going to go number 2 with Episode. And this one was one of the first albums I had heard, and also consistently great. And some of their best songs that I think we heard more of back in the day, but like Father Time, Will the Sun Rise? I mean, Father Time, I love hearing that song. Will Sunrise, Eternity, episode sort of an interlude of kind. Speed of Light, of course. It's a fun song. I will say there's a little bit of, speaking of weak links, on this album, Uncertainty kind of like brings the energy to a halt. Dun, 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 dun. It's just not quite it. I feel like the songs leading up to it were really kick ass, and then Uncertainty is just not that. I feel like that's like the filler, the weak link on this album. Season of Change, great song, very kind of apropos, atmospheric for different seasons, like literal and figurative. But Stratosphere, yep, they know how to do great instrumentals. Babylon is it's, you have to talk about like most power metal albums need to have like that one requisite like Middle Eastern or ancient sounding ancient civilization song. So anyway, tomorrow, another really good Nighttime Eclipse. They just have just kind of energetic but also atmospheric. That's kind of how I would describe this album as a whole. It's pretty atmospheric and has so many rocking tracks. But then Forever, it's one of my favorite ballads from the band. I feel like that's it's kind of short and simple, and it just works. It's just a really nice ballad. I think this is considered bonus track, but When the Night Meets the Day, kind of like I said with the other one with Cold Winter Nights, it's a great bonus track. I don't know if you credit it here or on intermission, but it's a really great song. So yeah, episode, just one really good song after another. So now, how do you top that? Hard to, especially since I'm out of water. But of course, I gotta pick an all-time best, greatest Stratovarius album. I'm going with Visions. Visions. Yes, I feel like it's kind of solidly so. Whereas these past two albums do have so many great songs on it. This one is just one kick-ass just throughout. When I saw them at Prog Power in 2014, they played this album in its entirety. I just loved it. thoroughly. I will start with a critique though, because kind of like with Elysium, I was like, I don't know why they start with what is it? Darkest Hours, where it's a good song, but it's just not a great intro. I would have started that album with Under Flaming Skies. Kiss of Judas, very good. It's a great song, but it's just not like, that's not the one I would have started with. Like so many of the other ones, I think would have been better first tracks. But like, it's still a great song. It just starts, that bass, thumping bass comes in, and it's great. It's awesome. It's just not what I would think of as a great intro. But Black Diamond, I mean, go down the list. Black Diamond, Forever Free, Before the Winter is a really nice atmosphere and ballad kind of thing. Legions, I mean, that's a song about fans, for fans. Abyss of Your Eyes is kind of a sleeper track. We don't hear much about it, but it's a really good one. Holy Light, yes, freaking Holy Light. That is one of my all-time favorite Stratovarius songs. Sometimes I might consider it my favorite. Like it's an instrumental, and it just, I mean, if you've heard it, you know what I mean. It's kicks so much ass, even though it has that chill kind of ending outro. You kind of have to decompress after. Like, it's just incredible. Like the musicianship, the energy. Love that song. And then we go into Paradise. Somewhat info. I mean, talk about cheesy. It's a little kind of like hit you over the head with the environmental message, but it's very well written. It's a catchy song that has a nice solo. One of my friends and I have joked about it, like what it sounds like is kind of wither existence, like the those last few notes. And I actually have a video of me. I was challenged once on the U.S. power metal community to perform to learn and play the solo from Paradise. I think it was about an hour maybe from receiving the challenge to, like, grabbing my one of my Ibanez guitars, and I would say it was an hour, maybe hour and a half. Just like sat down, like listened to it. I was like, all right, and I think I did pretty well. I can link if you want to see that. I can link it to you. And then coming home, nice, somewhat easygoing. But then we finished with the title track Visions, which is Vision Southern Cross, which is a true epic, kind of like Destiny. Like, they really went all out on their title tracks for both Destiny and Visions. And the funny thing is, and I feel also this way about Judas Priest's Nostradamus album, which is somewhat infamous, being a double album. They say, oh, it's a filler band with an album full filler, which I actually really like that album. I think it's one of their better ones. But like, the funny thing is, with both of that and with Visions, like, I'm not into Nostradamus. I kind of think it's just, I associate it with like supermarket tabloids and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, like on the Priest album, I really like it. I think they find ways to make the lyrics or make the theme interesting. But like this song, which of course, complete with the cover art, which one of my friends who's not into power metal jokes like, this guy's like, help, I'm out in space, I can't breathe. But Visions, the track, is just incredible, the way it builds and keeps you in it, and towards the end, like when they do that one last, like, really prestissimo passage where it's just double bass on the drums. Kick ass. Yeah, so I absolutely love this album. It deserves all its praise. It deserves to be named the GOAT power metal album of the band, and thus the genre. Really, I can't sing its praises enough. So if anybody says that Nemesis is their best album, they're wrong. Sorry if you feel that way. Obviously I don't. Thus my video. But however you do feel, please let me know in the comments and such, and share it. And yeah, I'd love to hear what other people's picks are, and and you can come back and say, this is why you're wrong about Nemesis and why it's their best. And feel free. Really hope no one, whether it's that or Eternal, I am hoping not to have too many wrong opinions. No, I do welcome them. All right, so hope this is fun. Love this band. If you ever get a chance to see them, I saw them in 2014 at Prog Power, and was supposed to see them in 2020, but we all know why that didn't happen. But it should be, hopefully everything goes through, and they will be at Prog Power in 2021. So maybe I'll see some of you there. Take care.